All right, Zoleka Qodashe joins us live from Brakpan. Zoleka, very good morning to you. I suppose the scene in Brakpan has been one of confusion, especially for many of those that are within that vicinity. We heard yesterday from the commissioner within Gauteng speaking about how this possibly also could be linked to illegal mining that Van der Merwe was investigating throughout the week. What have been some of the talks that you've heard within that area of Brakpan where this incident took place yesterday in the evening?
That's correct, Katleho. Good morning and good morning to the viewers. It is quite a somber mood here in the east of Johannesburg, where Marius Van der Merwe was gunned down yesterday. In fact, his family home is just behind us, but we've been mindful not to further expose the family and the young ones that may be in that family home, given the nature of the incident that occurred yesterday, and that has affected them in great lengths. So there is a little bit of movement from people that are just walking up and down the street, but little movement in the family home. We spoke to a neighbor, in fact, that gave us some detail about what he thinks Marius Van der Merwe was, and just what he also anticipates or expects could be one of the reasons that led to that tragic ending to his life yesterday. But there's been a lot of discussions and talk, particularly from the police officials in the province of Gauteng, around the protection that witnesses that appear before commissions of inquiry or in any particular proceedings are granted and guaranteed. And in fact, this has to do with the Witness Protection Act, and in particular the invoking Section 7, subsection 1 of the Act, that allows persons to actually seek witness protection to the Office of Witness Protection, particularly also the director that's also been appointed in that office. But Section 2 talks about the failure, if a person is unable to apply for witness protection, then the proceedings in which they form a part, are also able to apply for witness protection on behalf of that person. So we understand that the Minister of Justice, Mamoloko Kubai, will be briefing the media later on around 10 a.m. today. And in fact, when there is a review of the decision that has been taken in relation to granting or not granting of witness protection by a particular party, by the office, then that review will be done by the Minister of Justice in accordance with the Witness Protection Act. So we'll be asking her those questions as well, in terms of whether there was any application in terms of Section 7 of the Act in relation to protecting these witnesses and further witnesses that may be appearing before the Commission of Inquiry that's investigating allegations of criminal infiltration and political interference in the criminal justice system. But you'll remember, Katleho, that it was during the ad hoc committee as well, because these systems or these parallel processes can also be linked. It was during the testimony of Vusimuzi Kat Madlala, that's currently at the Hoshimampuru Correctional Facility, where ad hoc members or members of the ad hoc committee descended upon the correctional facility in November, essentially seeking to extract as much information from Vusimuzi Kat Madlala as possible. And in fact, he did mention something about Julius Mkhwanazi, the senior official that's now been placed on suspension in the EMPD, saying that they were indeed friends. And in fact, it was Marius Van der Merwe that also implicated Julius Mkhwanazi in some of the graft that allegedly takes place within the SAPS. And so you'll remember that Vusimuzi Kat Madlala also confirmed donating 4 vehicles to the EMPD. Those are 2 BMWs as well as 2 Polos. And so he says that he donated those 4 vehicles to the EMPD and was in exchange given blue lights for his private vehicles, allowing him to run amok in the province of Gauteng. That is just some of the testimony that has come out of the ad hoc committee in relation to Julius Mkhwanazi. You'll remember that he was not so long ago also placed on suspension given some of the allegations, particularly from who was then known as Witness D and now revealed as Marius van der Merwe in relation to some of the alleged corruption that takes place in the SAPS. But of course, we'll be also seeking some clarity from the Minister of Justice on some of these aspects, particularly in relation to the Justice Department and its working with the Commission of Inquiry and the safety and protection of witnesses.
I suppose at this point in time it's going to be very important in clamping down, especially with regards to the safety of those that come forth either at the commission or the committee, especially for witnesses to be able to bring as much information for us to be able to get down to the truth. That's Zoleka Qodashe out in Brakpan being our eyes and ears after the assassination of Witness D just outside his home. We will also be playing Witness D's full testimony at the Madlanga Commission at 2 p.m. this afternoon.